Welcome, audience, to KBA Vendor Viewpoint, where we bring together Kentucky bankers and the industry's top vendor solutions to discuss important topics that affect your bank. This is Selena Parrish, KBA Director of Membership, Products, and Services. Today, we are featuring KBA-endorsed BHG Bank Network and the BHG Loan Hub, the #1 source for top performing loans. Rachel Thornton, BHG's VP Institutional Sales, is with us today. Thank you, Rachel. It is great to have you on today's podcast. And please tell our audience about your role with BHG and how the BHG Loan Hub is supporting all the community banks throughout Kentucky.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. Looking forward to talking through. So, like you said, I work with our banks across the country. I personally cover 7 states, spread along pretty much the East Coast. Southeast is where I'm at, and Kentucky is one of those states that I help service and work with. So at BHG, what we do and who we are, as a whole, we're a lender. We originate and fund consumer and commercial loans to super prime borrowers across the United States, fully fund those onto our books, and sell that to our bank network of now over 1,700 community banks across the country. So we're working with over 35% of banks in the United States, and in Kentucky specifically, over 1 in 3 of those as well. So very, very well known in the area and the state, and it's been a wonderful state to work with, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I got Kentucky starting in January, and it's been really great. So looking forward to kind of talking through BHG a little bit more.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So banks right now with BHG are currently earning anywhere from 7 to 8% on our loans, which is providing a huge enhancement to their net interest margin. It's been a great diversification tool to augment their current organic loan growth. So that's how banks have kind of looked at BHG and positioned it. Obviously, every bank's different who we work with, but that's kind of in a nutshell of who we are.
And in the state of Kentucky, what would you say your, average asset size for the banks? Or are there any banks too small or too large for BHG?
Great question. Every bank is the perfect size. There's not
Wonderful.
One too small. Yeah, there's not one too small, not one too big. It really is a tool and an opportunity for banks of all sizes. I have banks in my book that are several billion in assets. And I think I have a bank as small as, maybe 13 million. It is a huge range, and it is, beneficial to everyone's bottom line, no matter the size.
And when a bank is interested in the BHG Loan Hub, what is the first step that a bank should take when reaching out to you?
Yeah. And it's different again for every bank. I really like to ask them, what are you looking to accomplish at the bank? Are you trying to diversify your loan portfolio? Are you wanting to really impact that net interest margin? Are you too concentrated in one area? This will give you an opportunity to, again, diversify and really, augment your current loan growth. So just reaching out and then just having a very, honest conversation of what they're looking to accomplish and see how it best fits into their portfolio and best fits for their bank.
And your customers are, as far as the loans that you have, that you are selling to the community banks, they're all originated. I think it's fascinating how you all have that niche of healthcare and business professionals.
Yep, that's right. They're very affluent borrowers. Our average borrower has a 748 FICO, makes north of $280,000 a year, and have been in their industry on average 19 years. So they're very established in their community, their trade. They've been making that type of income, for that amount of time and have been through different recessional periods. It's not a borrower who's necessarily just starting their career or ending their career. They're really in that prime, right? So
Yes.
it makes for a very, very good qualified borrower. And we target market all these individuals. It's not we're just open the floodgates and hope everyone comes. We really are very methodical on, who we want to invite to apply. Marketing is a huge component of BHG. It's actually our second biggest line item on our balance sheet other than salary and benefits. So spend a lot in marketing. And what we're looking for is the borrower who pays and, is going to continue paying on. So right now we're originating over 500 million a month in originations, which is a, huge number. And we're only funding about 7% of individuals who come through our door. So we see anywhere from about 70, I think it's now about 70,000 unique borrowers a month. And again, we're only approving 7% of them.
So on a given day, how many loans would be out there on the Loan Hub for banks to have that opportunity to bid on?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So on our Loan Hub, we have from, individual loans that they go on. The average loan size is about 120,000 in loan size. So, it's kind of smaller ticket loans. And they have access to the entire underwriting file before making that credit decision so they can be comfortable and underwrite the file themselves. But anywhere on the Loan Hub, there's over $20 million in loans available a day for them to go and review, purchase. We do have different purchasing mechanisms for them to go on. Like you said, there is a bidding process. There's a marketplace, which is a buy now. Usually there's over, $5 million in loans on the marketplace, with loans going to buy now. Again, no bidding as high as 8.25%, which is pretty phenomenal to get that type of income, or get those, amount of loans right there. I'm sure, several banks like to say, I wish my lenders could just do that in a day. And it's, gives you an opportunity to let them go do what they do best and still get that piece of volume with the BHG Loan Hub in your back pocket as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a powerful tool for all community banks for sure.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a great program. We've been around since 2001. So we are, I guess, now considered a fintech. But we were a fintech before fintechs were a thing. But we're a big F, little t, right? We're big on the finance, the credit, the underwriting, and we have the technology like the Loan Hub, and streamlining the process for our borrowers and for our banks to make it very convenient and streamline the process.
Yes, and that was part of what I was thinking of was all the technology that's involved and how it does enhance the customer experience at BHG, both for your borrowers as well as your community banks that are making that loan purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, we're target marketing probably the 17% of all individuals across the United States, whether they're a doctor, lawyer, FedEx driver, teacher, whatever it is. But we're really going after the cream of the crop individuals with the high income and good credit.
Are there any specific trends that BHG's identified or that you're seeing in the healthcare financing or private practice lending space? Have there been any big changes in that space recently?
Great question. So what we have to at BHG is data and analytics. It's a huge, huge component of us as well. And what we have is our BHG score. It can be an R score, is what we call it. But right now, TransUnion runs the score for us, and it finds a borrower's propensity to pay. We have a team of about 170 data engineers who run different recessional or models that will regressional models, excuse me, but they run different models to see, who do we want to go after, look at different industries, look at different borrowers and say, this is who we want to go and look at, right? So they run those different models, but really what it has done, it is now underwritten over $100 billion worth of loans. And it but it normalizes it, right? So it could take a borrower in the healthcare industry, and it could take a borrower who is an attorney, and it kind of normalizes them. So in our trends, if you look at medical versus non-medical, they perform the same. And we're still trying to get that high performance. So that's what we really looked at. Again, no model's perfect either. I would say if a model performs, let's say 50, 60% of the time, it's almost perfect, right? So with that and looking at our borrowers too, we fully will physically underwrite every single file that passes initial filters that we have in place. So a borrower calls in and says, hey, I want to get a personal loan. I want to do some debt consolidation, right? We run them through a set of preliminary filters. If they pass those initial filters, that's when we do a full physical underwrite where it's touched by a human being in our underwriting department. They do their checks and balances, global cash flow analysis, pull a credit report, financials. And then if the borrower is approved from our underwriting team, we have about 60, 70 underwriters on our team. Then the borrower would be presented with their options, funded. Then we would put onto the loan hub for our bank partners to go and pick and choose.
Wow. What a process.
Yes, it's been great. Yeah, it's been really wonderful. And obviously Pinnacle out of Nashville, Tennessee, they own BHG 49%. They came in 2015. They bought 19%. They were previously buying BHG paper before, and it was a great and wonderful partnership. And then later in 2015, did an additional 30%. And so now they're up to 49%. And then that other 51% is still held by two of the original founders, Al Crawford and Eric Castor, who are still very, very active in the company.
Wonderful. I know we've gotten to know Pinnacle now that they have come into Kentucky. So it's exciting to have Pinnacle involved with the state of Kentucky and having branches now. And on the BHG Loan Hub, how do you ensure the products remain competitive in this rapidly changing financial landscape that we seem to be living in, with all the regulations that the banks have to deal with? Have there been any concerns, I guess, from examinations that banks have had? Has examiners brought up any additional due diligence that the banks need to have available if they are buying loans from BHG?
Great question. And obviously for BHG, like I said, we really want to find a borrower's propensity to pay, a good borrower, but compliance is our number one. And given that relationship with Pinnacle, we kind of fall under that community banking purview. FDIC looks at us just like our banks. We actually had our compliance and IT exam last year. We had our exit exam, and they're very comfortable with all of our models. OCC, open door policy with them, as well as the feds, and very, very comfortable with BHG, given, we are in so many banks at this point. The regulators seen it. They're comfortable with it. We have a great relationship, again, with the FDIC, kind of falling under that. And in Kentucky, we've had a wonderful relationship with the commissioner. And again, they see it so often. And everything's up to par from our files. They're very formatted. Our underwriting files are anywhere from 40 pages to 400 pages. They're very robust. They have everything that bankers would even need to do their underwriting and make sure that they're comfortable with it. As well as what I like to do for my bank partners is like to know when they, have exams coming up, so I can make sure they're up to good from their due diligence standpoints and our financials. We have a great client packet information that has everything that they could possibly need from our stock report, beneficiary ownership, any of that for them to review to make sure that they have that and feel prepared and comfortable, with BHG. And I would say the biggest part, with regulators and looking at it is the banks just need to be versed and know what they're buying. I would never want them to ever do business or buy a loan if they're not fully comfortable with it, and do their own due diligence on the underwriting and look. And that's what our banks do. Our banks have been so wonderful. They understand the program. They understand the underwriting. They look, deep into the files and to be very comfortable with it. So from that standpoint in Kentucky, it's been a home run, and it's been very good from that standpoint on the regulatory side. We have an extensive regulatory team as well at BHG. We actually have John Henry, who's now our chief regulatory relations officer. He used to be the past FDIC director out of Atlanta. He's in Kennesaw now, but he sits on our team. So every day we are looking at compliance. Every day we are talking to commissioners across the United States and just talking to them, asking them if they have questions. We really are very transparent in what we do, and that they've really appreciated that, I would say.
I would imagine.
The transparency that BHG has and brings to the table, I think, brings so much comfortability. And that has been really great in this regulatory environment. I would say that we have going on is that we want to be even, more transparent and answer the questions that may be outstanding. So that is something that we always put first of mind and make sure that is a huge priority from us.
Definitely peace of mind for all the banks that are using BHG and those that reach out and start using you, because that's where I was wondering, how long does it take for a bank to be up actively running and bidding on loans in the BHG Loan Hub?
I would say like the implementation process, it varies to bank,
Okay.
And the comfortability of it and making sure that they do their due diligence, look at our fair lending policy, look at our, financials, make sure that they're comfortable with everything. From that standpoint, we have great vendor management files for them to look through. So it could vary. I mean, I've had a bank come on as quick as 2 weeks, and some can take, a year. It just depends on the bank and and how quickly they want to come on. But from buying the loans, it's very, very easy on the Loan Hub, I would say, for them to go and get on. There's not an implementation. It's not like a core processing where that takes, you need all hands on deck for that. That it's not that. It's very, very easy from that standpoint.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that if a bank really wanted to start buying loans, you're pretty fast at getting them up and running in about 2 weeks then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I'd say I move pretty quick. Faster they move, the quicker I'll move. Yes,
and that's where so many times I'm traveling the state and talking with KBA members and those that are looking for loan opportunities. That's when I encourage them to reach out to you and start talking about that opportunity to get the loans from the BHG Loan Hub. Mm-hmm. And on the Loan Hub, is it you only turn the loans on at like 3:00 in the afternoon? Is that how that works?
So yes. So
okay.
When we first started, it's so funny. So when you go onto the Loan Hub, like I said, there's multiple different purchasing mechanisms. But when we first started, you're absolutely correct. It was just the bidding process at 3 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. New loans would be posted, typically like the day before. So you'd have over 24 hours to review them. And the best way to look at it is almost eBay on steroids. If you remember the old eBay, you're out there at $259.59, lowest bidder wins. And it was really fun. I have a lot of bankers who really, really enjoy it. So we do still have that. However, we added on some more opportunities because we get that, you still got to run a bank at the end of the day. And we have banks all over. So some banks who would be buying at 3, 2, 12, my California banks, that's lunchtime for them. So we want to give them opportunities too. So what we have now have added that may have been different from in the past is called the marketplace. The marketplace is where you can go on an a la carte, as you could say. You can set in your loan preferences in the BHG Loan Hub that will filter throughout. So you could say, I want to have a minimum FICO of this, DTI, debt service of this. You can even go into the state if you want. You can filter in by state. And we have all these different preferences that you can pull in, and it'll pull the loans that, match what your credit appetite is. And then on the marketplace, it's buy now, no bidding. You still have access to the
Oh,
entire underwriting loan file to review.
nice. Okay.
Yes. And then you can buy it at that fixed rate at what it is. And again, we have some as high as eight and a quarter. You can go and get it, no bidding. And it's still the same quality throughout. I always get that question a lot of, oh,
Okay.
are there better loans on the auction versus the marketplace? And no, it's the same quality and the same enhancements that you get. As BHG's been known, I've said the past, no bank has ever taken a single dollar loss with our core program.
Exactly.
Yep. So same enhancements, you get a deposit out of this relationship. You get a 3% deposit put up at the bank. And that is for any payment defaults. If you choose, the bank can elect BHG to handle collections and customer service if they elect us to. So when a bank buys a loan, we will transfer the ACH over to the bank. They pull that ACH on a monthly basis. And if there's any issues with that payment, let's say insufficient funds, whatever it may be, that bank is able to send me an email and saying, hi, Sally Joe, insufficient funds. We would like to elect BHG to collect on our behalf. And in the meantime, the bank will, pull debit from the reserve and apply it to their BHG loan. And in the meantime, we will look to collect on behalf of the bank. And then historically, if the bank has had to hit the reserve on a borrower 4 consecutive times, they can request that we buy the loan back from them. And historically, we've done that for our bank partners. We'll replace it with a performing loan of equal or greater value or pay it off, which has been an excellent opportunity, with
Definitely.
essentially no risk from our bank side.
Yes. Well, I know from the Kentucky banks that use BHG, I always hear the wonderful remarks about the service provided and everything that BHG does to support them. And it's greatly appreciated. So thank you for everything you're doing for KBA members. Now we just need to get all of our members using BHG's Loan Hub. So
that's the goal. That's
exactly.
definitely the goal. And it's great. It really is. It's an opportunity, right? You don't have to pledge a certain amount every month, every year. It gives your bank an opportunity to, let's say you have a big pay down or you want to hit a quarterly goal. You want to diversify. You're too heavy in your CRA. This you can diversify so fast and you get a great return on it with essentially no operating costs. These are fully funded. They're fully, documented, packaged up, ready to go for you to review. So from that standpoint, it is a fantastic opportunity for our banks, and we've appreciated every partnership. So I would like to thank our bank partners and future bank partners. We really appreciate you guys because it does go both ways. They've been wonderful to me. They've been wonderful to BHG, and I just hope that they can feel the same way and the gratitude that we do have for them.
For banks in the audience that need to talk with you and follow up with you, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you so they can learn more about BHG Loan Hub?
Yeah, they're more than welcome. They can call me or email me. I will, happy to share my email. It's rthornton@bhg-inc.com. Love to set up a call. I'm always in the area, road warrior, travel about every other week, seeing my state. So always will be around, happy to come by the bank. And I'll share my information if you guys want to post it. But yeah, banks, you can reach out to me on my cell as well, 843-251-4223. Happy to set something up.
Additional information is on KBA's website.
Wonderful.
For BHG. So if the banks on today's podcast are interested in pinging your contact information, we do have it out there on KBA's website at kybanks.com. Any other details that our banks need to know before we wrap up today, Rachel?
I would say to the banks who are considering joining the program, talk to your peers. I would highly encourage you to talk to your peers. I can go blue in the face all day, but your peers know it best. They're in it every day too, and they know the experience and they can speak on behalf of it. I think that's a huge, great part of, your due diligence. Talk to the banks that have partnered with BHG, talk about their experience. And I think that speaks volumes more so than probably anything that I could say. So I definitely would encourage them to talk to the banks and their experiences that they've had. And thank you guys again for your consideration of joining BHG, and the banks listening who have partnered with us. Thank you so much. You're the reason this machine is so well oiled and working its way that it does. So thank you. And I'll leave you guys with this. And banks listening, BHG every year, twice a year, we hold our annual convention. It's our BHG National Seminar twice a year. Our next one is going to be in Palm Beach. It's the PGA National Resort. So my golfers listening, my team always wins. So let me know, please, if you're a scratch golfer.
That's great.
But it's a great opportunity. October, again, 6th through 8th, BHG covers all expenses other than the travel to get down. So that's hotel, food, bring your spouse. We'll usually have one day, which is Monday, of an excursion, whether it's pickleball tournament, golf tournament, or just hang out at the resort. And then Tuesday, we have our seminar day where you'll hear directly from our CEO, our CFO, data and analytics, compliance, regulatory. And it's a fantastic opportunity to really hear more about BHG in depth and ask those questions. Usually it's over 200 to 300 bankers from across the country that come. So fantastic opportunity to network with bankers. So we'd love for you guys to come. That's extended to everyone, prospects and customer banks. We would love to have you. So if you'd like to hear more about that, please let me know, and love to host you guys.
That sounds like a wonderful conference and one that all KBA members should take advantage of. And thank you, Rachel, for being with us today and for providing this excellent information for our audience. And until next time, this podcast is a wrap. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Rachel.